Indian Ordnance Factories experience by Mr. Shivaprasad, retired Senior General Manager.
Good evening, everyone. It is nice to be amongst you at this time because I had known a few of you from your Zoom meeting. Thanks to that Andaman visit, there I got to know. And it was quite nice to see some people who were able to make the entire atmosphere happy and vibrant wherever they go. So I was reminded of a quotation at the time. There are people, some people bring happiness wherever they go. And some people bring happiness whenever they go. I only wish we will not be in the second category. We should be in the first category. And S.Stephenraj particularly, I liked him because he used to have that laughter. On any topic, he is not bothered what happens. He says, that has gone bad. Okay, theek hai, chala gaya. What is that? And the laughing was so bad that it became infectious. Even those who could not laugh could make an effort and make a semblance of laugh. Now, that is something to be great. And both Narayan Murthy and S.Stephenraj were extremely passionate about photography and the way they were after photography. And they explained the beauty and intricacies of it. It was something, mind-boggling that people can take so much pain and so much work for a piece of photograph, which is showing a silhouette or a bird coming out from that worm or what. Then I thought it's possible if man's mind only has to expand to take everything in. So that way I learned quite a lot. It was quite nice. We didn't know how the time passed. A good whole week passed. And we only climbing up, showing and all that, always laughing and seeing all those things in Andaman. Then he was after me to give a lecture. Then I told him, my generation is already past. You people are all youngsters. You people will get bored about a thing which is already pretty old. He said, no, it's not like that. We get to know each other. We will know. Then I said, okay. Then I said, I'm not preparing. I'm going to tell offhand and talk. He said, okay, that suits your convenience. So I will try to give a bird's eye view. I don't know, it's not a bird's eye view. It may be an eagle's eye view because the bird also flows fairly lower. From a very high point I'll view so that many I may not be able to know at all, see. So that view I'll give about ordnance factories and my experience in ordnance factories. Actually, when I got the appointment order for ordnance factories, after all, I am from deep south in Bangalore. I knew only Bangalore. Apart from Bangalore, I didn't know anything at all. Imagine going all the way for my first posting in Chandigarh and a letter telling Indian Ordnance Factories. And at that time, the only word I knew was Ordnance. So I went on finding why ordnance for factory? A factory has to be certified as a factory by an ordnance or what? Then I knew there's another word, Ordnance, ordnance, which means weapons, equipment, and weapons, ammunition, and equipment. So that is what they are manufacturing. Actually, when the Britishers, when they gave independence, or when we got independence in 1947, we were left with about 10 ordnance factories. And the British had colonized so many nations, not one or two. So much so, they were telling that the sun never sets in the British Empire. Proudly, they used to tell that. And so many nations were under their control. And India was one of the, I would say, richest colonies, where they benefited a great deal. And we did benefit, I wouldn't say a great deal, but to an extent, definitely. How much it is, it depends on the people to take advantage. Then in Indian ordnance factories, why British government kept the ordnance factories under a government department? At that time, private had not come at all, 1960s and all those things. It had not come in a big way, and they wouldn't have invested for an item whose order is not known in a regular fashion, whose order will jump 5 times if there's a war, and will go down 5 times if there's a peacetime. So it's difficult for a private man to take up manufacture of this, orders changing up and down. Secondly, security was an important factor. They don't want any information to leak out. So they kept this under the government. And safety was a very important factor because all the explosives, we used to have detonators, which is very, very sensitive. Even you have to take out the shoes, socks, and all enter. Vibration can cause a detonation and explosion, and accidents can happen. So safety was another case, this one. These are some of the three, this one economically not viable, safety was another, then defense was too important. They felt to be left to the private at that point of time in 60s. Now things have changed a great deal and we are having private-public partnership. And so when this was the one. Second point, when once it comes to the government department, ordnance factories, they are bound by the Government Secrecy Act, number one. So nothing will be divulged. Secondly, you can't have strike as you will. If they want, they can bring out that Government of India Defence Act, where every strike can be declared illegal. So strikes cannot happen so easily. And third point is, when times of war, all of a sudden, we used to work in 2 shifts of 11 hours each, with 3 hours overtime. And non-stop, they used to produce the shells, guns, ammunition, and all that. And it would be posted from the empties, it goes to a filling factory. From filling, it goes to a part of it will go to the proof establishment for checking up proof and all that. Because the inspection is too elaborate. One is in the manufacturing, that the component, sub-assemblies, assemblies. And then after that, filling. After filling, there's an inspection. Then after everything is completed, they will have a firing, this one. And then there is a firing finally in Balaso, where it will be taken for 1,000 shots of ammunition. They will take around 24 and fire. If anyone fails, then it will go for reproof. That means 48 will be taken for the next 1,000. If that is there, it will be destroyed completely. So it is very strict that way. So finally, it has to get through in that proof. That's the point. So for all these reasons, they kept it as a government department. And as a free India, we also continued the same thing. But then we also took it easy because British people is different. We also did not, we neglected the Indian ordnance factories in the first few years. British could afford to neglect because British was already a superpower. They had a strong navy and they were doing it. And we were there, we did not take much importance in ordnance factories. We never thought there will be a war. And thanks to that, with marketed propaganda of politicians, they said Hindi, Chini, bye everywhere. And bye, and you can't do it, by telling it, you can't become a bye. One has to work for it. And nobody likes to be a boy unless you are strong. And for a weak man, nobody will become a boy because it doesn't help him. Then at 62, we had that great China war, Indo-China war. When we had not prepared, when we are not equipped, China thought this is the right moment. And they came in hordes. Normally, attacking army will be around 3 times to the defense if you want to have a complete victory. Whereas China, it is more than 3 times because they have plenty of manpower. It used to come as horde of power, line as they die. And India was shocked that they were coming in such a big way. And we are not prepared. We had not started manufacturing in a big way. So it was quite a tough job. There was a book, Himalayan Blender, by Brigadier Dalby. I read the book, I liked it very much. But ever since that, for a long time, I had not been able to get that book at all. It has gone underground or banned or whatever it is. That was one clear. After that, I think Anderson Brooks and some others were there. I was not that much impressed. And another General Cole was there. He was related to the Nehru family. Untold story or so he was told. So I had read that, but I was not that impressed. But Brigadier Dalby's book was good. Okay, now coming back to the point, scale safety. No. So that means there's no compromise on safety and performance and safety. Time schedule is important. But you have to supply the item when they need. If we don't supply on need, we are keeping our Jawans and army people in great danger. So schedule and time is very important. So these were the main factors which were governing the ordnance factories. The next thing I'll come to, subsequent to the Indian, the China war, and rather our humiliating defeat, I won't blame the army for it because army was wanting to prepare. They made plenty of notes, but politicians took it easy. They took the words, they were telling Hindi Chinbai so seriously. They couldn't read the people. And I think General Tapar was the chief of army staff. These people used to criticize him, but poor general, what can he do if he doesn't give the support? Then after that, we continued like this. Then Pakistan smelt. This is the right time. China has humiliated them, number one. And number two, Pakistan was a member of SEATO. So they got plenty of arms, equipment and ammunition from the NATO and SEATO countries, including Patton tanks and Saber jet fighters And like this, they got plenty of them. And they are getting it as an aid, so they need not have to pay the money. Whereas we have to pay hard currency to get whatever item we want. And at that time, we had only Centurion tank. That was a World War II vintage of 105mm tank ammunition. And then we had some anti-personnel weapons. That was all, that's all 105mm caliber. Then this were thing we went, and we didn't have even snow protective clothing we didn't have. That is clothing which can protect you against snow and all that. And people didn't have even the footwear which was suitable for snow and all that. So it was a really tough time. The army took a battle in a surprise and shock without any preparation. So we can't blame them, but it was a good lesson that we learned. And 1965, Pakistan smelled the air and they unnecessarily started provocating in Kutch, because they knew they had got all the arms ammunition ready and India is not yet ready and Nehru is no more and Lal Bahadur Shastri has taken over. They thought since the man is also a short stature, the chances are he'll be too short and won't be able to do much. But unfortunately, that is where we make a mistake. It is the short people, whose fame spreads far and wide. So Lal Bahadur Shastri, when he came, these people first started a little bit of trouble in Kutch. We ignored it because they know taking a fight in Kutch at this time is very bad, because it will all be marshy soil. Whoever takes the fight, it will be in a worse condition. So they ignored for this one. Then those people came further and started on this one, slightly on that, not Sialkot, just below Sialkot they started. Then by that time, next it will go to the Sialkot sector, where both of them are they are also having plenty. And they had made it with all the tank regiments which they got from the USA as part of NATO, and whatever left Sherman tank and all, they all, what's the right word they should say? They combined together and they made about 8 brigades and started attacking on that side. Then our people managed it with Centurion tanks, World War II vintage, and with their Mistiers and Vampire, these aircrafts. And Gnat had just come. Gnat aircraft is a small insect-like aircraft, but very maneuverable. And we managed to hold on for quite some time. Then the war went on. Neither of them could win. But then, finally these people had a strategy. You can't continue because they are well armed on this side. Now we can't attack. If we attack, it will counter. International pressure will come. So what we will do, we will start attacking at the Lahore side. So with the pressure, they may be able to withdraw. It worked. They went to Lahore, they could easily get into Lahore for quite a long time. Then these people got a little shivering, they started withdrawing there. Then things became easy. So finally, that way the war could be managed. I don't know who is the victor, but we can say India is a victor because Pakistan could not continue their plan. Pakistan will say, I am a victor because I humbled India. Neither of them was humbled, but anyway, it was another experience for us. So, and then what happens normally in the ordnance, what we are having is the ordnance, we can break it into what is called small arms. Small arms is all, that ammunition, at that time 0.304mm ammunition was there, 0.004 inches. Then now only we got the international standard of 7.62mm. Then now we have gone to many more things also, like AK-47 and further this one. At that time with this one, small arms was one. Next is artillery. Artillery where we are going to fire. Suppose it is a mountainous terrain, then I have to fire with an angle of 45 degrees or more than 45 degrees, because nearly 60 degrees. Then only it can cross the mountain, otherwise it fall on our own side and create damage. So there, the accuracy is not important, but it has to cross the mountain. It is an anti-personnel weapon where we are going to create an area target or anti-personnel damage. And another is you want a longer range, then they go to 45% they put. That's the maximum range theoretically which you put 45%. So range will be there, accuracy will not be dead, but it's also an anti-personnel area target. And the third thing is the tank ammunition. Tank ammunition is dead accurate. There is no question. That will be almost near about 0 plus some few degrees. And then it is a high velocity. And then there is a big spin force, stability which gives you. So it keeps you almost in a parallel track and hits the front side of the tank on the spot. That is very important because otherwise you can't do. And it's a huge velocity. And the tank barrels are normally very long. And then they will be created as a rifle. I don't know whether this can be put. 1 minute. இது பண்ண முடியும், அப்படியே பண்ணிடலாமா? கஷ்டமா? அவளை காட்ட முடியாது. So I'll explain only that only. So what happens in the tank barrel is the barrel will be very long and it will be tapering. You see this side. It is one side of the barrel, that is the breech end, where the shell is being loaded with along with the cartridge case and this one. This is where the shell comes out of it. It will be a taper, number one. Number two, lot of rifles will be cut here. That rifle, you can see both sides are given as a sectional view. And rifle will not be straight. Everything will be slanted. So that as soon as it goes here, there will be a driving band. It has to be pushed through. Centering band which holds. And as it goes through, it takes a spinning effect because the rifle is slanted. And the spinning force gives stability right through. And high linear velocity plus spin velocity gives it a long range. And then it will give a straight trajectory. It will not fall down. So this is in the tank, which is important, which is the hammer. And then the shell will be this side and cartridge case will be put over here. And in the cartridge case, there will be propellant and there will be a primer here. And beyond that, it will go to a breech ring of the gun. And then it will be loaded from at an angle. It will be loaded in shell and it will fire like this. That is about the tank ammunition, which goes at a high speed. So we had our 105 millimeter Centurion. But despite all that, how did he hold up in 1965 with Pakistan having pattern tanks at that time, the latest tank? How did we do it? The only reason that they're given is the Pakistanis were not trained fully in pattern tanks. They didn't know, it's a fully automatic. And to do an automatic, you must know. And they used to get in trouble in that automatic controls on and off. And another one intelligent strategy they did was, if you see the Indo-Pakistan border, it's all rice fields. So these people went well behind. So wo bola Pakistan ka paas kuch nahi hai, probably we can just march ahead. And they went on and went on till these people drew them to the rice fields. And in the rice field, they had deliberately pumped plenty of water, which is not seen from outside. And as the patterns rushed through, thinking that we'll walk over and run over the country, they all got stuck in the ditch and water. By the time they realized, a good number of patterns were already got stuck. And when once it is stuck, it becomes a sitting target for the Indian side. They went on firing shots and made it unmovable, immobile, by damaging the tracks and all. So that way they had a very bad, this one, by that one strategy. And another is they were not fully well versed in the training. And secondly, when they had a saber fighter, and we have got World War vintage, Vampire and Mystier, how did he manage? Again, they came was the skill in navigating, skill in piloting and maneuvering. Indians were far better. So, including a saber was damaged or destroyed by a gnat fighter, which is no match at all. It is like an insect, but it could go so far the saber could not catch it because it was too small and tiny, just like David hitting the Goliath. So gnat also could manage a few sabers it could down. And Mystiers and vampires also could. And this used to came at the newspaper at that today we have downed 2 sabers here, 1 saber here. And then those people used to bring their fighter aircraft right up to Kanpur. And we had no defense at that time. So what we did was thorough blackout was done, complete blackout. Nobody should even switch on the lights and they have to put curtains inside and all that. So night vision was not that good at the time, even for the fighter planes of that. So they were putting bombs which were going well beyond the airfield. So damage was not much and we got away. These were some other reasons by which things went our way. Now, after this 1965 war, what we did was the ministry and all were worried that this will not work because the ammunition, whatever we could manage to get from other people and whatever we could have stored could not last even for 3 weeks war. Within 3 weeks, all the ammunition will be over. They were telling 2 third-class countries waging a war and crying for ammunition supply from various countries. That was the word newspaper report used to put. Because ammunition you can't store in large quantities because it has got a shelf life, poor shelf life. So it's better always just fresh. The kallapodu, thalaya pottu kallapoduங்கிற மாதிரி it should be fresh also in that. So that way only it go. So you want to manufacturing capacity. Then they started a lot of new factories immediately after that 65 war. Then we got from Maharashtra itself, Chandrapur, Warangaon, Bandara, Then Kanpur, another one side, field gun factory, Kanpur. And then Kanpur expansion came. Then ordnance equipment factory came. Then many other things, plus of them. Then Katni, then this one. At that time, only cordite factory, Arvangadu was there. Now we have got cordite factory, Arangadu, Bandara, then Chandrapur, and now Bolangir also is there. So by all those things, we are in a position to manufacture, if not for a long time, definitely to hold on for about 6 weeks. That's our point. And you know, the working 11 hours and 2 shifts, it used to be packed, go on from here to there, filling. It's almost, they used to be tracking, you know, just like the Zomato track today, where their man will deliver the food packet. So they will be waiting for it. As soon as it comes, they will make the filling, the inspection is done, then it will go to the depots, and then they will take the lot. Like this profit used to go very fast, and then it will go to army depots for firing. So that way things are better, but now things have changed pretty far, because people are not only bothered about this, they go to the missiles already. And aircraft also is putting missiles only here. But still you require your artillery and tank, and these are a requirement. This is for a show or a first one for the war, and the others will come only backing up. In the tank itself, they can put missile. Like this, we are thinking in that way. So many factories, so much so today we have got 41 ordnance factories. Yes, I told. Of course. After that came the 1971 war. But 1971 war, the only advantage we had was, one was we could manufacture on our own quite a lot. That is one. Secondly, Indira Gandhi, and thanks to the DP, our foreign minister, foreign minister, and the chief secretary, that Husker, these 3 people are the main architect. They made the friendship treaty with Soviet Union, 10-year friendship treaty and all. So we could get tanks and other things also from them. Then when the next war of 71 came, we had our T-55, T-59, when the Ajanta tank was ready, and our 105 millimeter was ready, tank gun, and 120 millimeter brand mortar gun was ready, and 125 millimeter tank ammunition was ready. So many things were there. 105 millimeter Hesh was there, and we were well prepared for that. But still, we didn't want to attack, because international pressure will go again. So we were waiting for those people driving the refugees, and refugees coming to our country, sympathy. And finally we said, we are left, we can't handle so many. And by defensively, we tried to push the refugees back and attack. That way only we did. And they were keeping all their army on the western part, because they will neglect Pakistan will never neglect the western front. But they had moved over 1 lakh or over 2 lakhs of people, army, to Bangladesh at that time, East Pakistan. But we didn't attack them on the western front, though it was advantageous, because we said it wouldn't go by international public opinion. Then, by these people doing well, and the army having learned quite a lot of lessons in the first few wars, and thanks to the local support and the local non-support to the Pakistan army, whom they perceived as occupation forces, it became an easy matter for the whole army of something like over 1 lakh people, all found prisoners, starting from a general onwards. And they had to take the entire people or prisoners. And then, of course, we knew we had to leave all those people. It's not possible, because international pressure will mount. And Nixon was friendly, President Nixon was friendly with Pakistan. So he told them, will you stop the war or not? And he sent the 7th Fleet from there. And before the 7th Fleet we could come, Russia told, you should finish your job. I can't hold more than that. So he tried to thwart their movement to a certain extent, but then he said, I'll have to give way. Then ceasefire was done, matter was over. So this is about ordnance factories. And as regards the life of ordnance factory is concerned, we are always away from the city, far away from the madding crowd, because madmen ourselves, so we are far away from the madding crowd, and it's a colony of ourselves. So we used to have our club where we used to play sports, games, and a bar, and cultural functions that were there, and good sports of tennis, shuttle, and all used to be there, and cultural functions, and somewhere picnics and all that. This is what the ladies and gents used to spend. That was their life. And one thing with all those things, I could enjoy a hot lunch while I was there in Kanpur. Because every time the lunch is over, 12:30, we used to take in that big truck. At that time, it was a truck. We used to go 3-tonner and a 5-tonner truck. 2 was there. all officers used to go there. 1 o'clock it starts there. I will be the first man to get on around 1:15 or 1:10. I used to have the last board about 2:10. So 1 hour was good enough for me to have a hot lunch and having a little siesta and board. So that way I had enjoyed it despite all the difficulties. That was one good point for me. And on top of it, ordnance factories have their own training institute because industry had not developed in a big way at that time. We had to develop people with the right skill required. So Ambernath was the first factory where with the Swiss assistance, we had a training institute. Then other training institute came later on our own that gave really good skilled people who could come as staff member, as supervisor, and then go up to the rank of a foreman. And later, of course, they have to take the exam, but up to 4 months they could go. We could experienced hands. So that was one we are making. And then there is what is called a war chest. That means always when you know, we'll keep so much of ammunition in supply, so much of component supply. We can't go more because, of course, we'll go on doing that proof, travel, proof, reproof and all. If it is okay, they will extend their life for some more time and all that. Otherwise, we have to throw it all and then start off new. So war chest. So there will be sometimes the orders very fast. You have to do, yes. When do you want it? You ask them means they will tell you yesterday. So they will never give you a time. I'll give you 6 months and all. That is the need will be so fast. And at the same time, in case of peacetime, there will be no work. And they will find work for you. They will say, you make tiffin carrier. Like this, something, tiffin carrier or burden, all those things you have to do. Or some other things you were doing those days. And now propellants also, we have been very self-sufficient. At that time, it was only nitroglycerine. Now nitroglycerine, nitrocellular. Then single, it became multicellular. So many things are made on that one also, propellants. Then another interesting bit is, as officers, we are supposed to perform night duty. It used to come and return 1 in 13 to 15 days. At that time, on the night, you are not supposed to disturb any of the senior officers. You are supposed to be as an orderly officer having the powers of a general manager, which you should exercise with discretion. So we are supposed to take rounds, 2 rounds, see how things are going on and all that. So that was an experience. Only it used to bother about food because we used to take food and then go. But all night being awake and all that, it used to work our system a little. Otherwise, okay. Then another one advantage I got was I had learned Hindi only Prathamik and Madhyamik from Dakshin Prachar Sabha. Started from Rajaji, I think. Beyond that academic Hindi or Madhyamik, I didn't know anything. And my first posting and second posting was Kanpur. When I got into the lunch track, all will be talking in Hindi. And perforce I have to answer in Hindi. And Hindi, I didn't know what are the complications at the time. One of the great complications is the gender. A police is feminine. And a pustak is masculine. Kitab is feminine. So which is feminine, which is masculine is quite a job depending on the usage. They used to laugh when I used to speak, but they never decried. They supported me. So that way it made me learn Hindi very fast. It helped me a great. And I could get to know people from other areas, because it's an all India PAN service. Among officers itself, you will have Punjabis, you will have Bengalis, Madhya Pradeshis, then Tamilians, Andhra Vadu, and all those things. So we would know what are the various food patterns because we used to visit their houses, Andhra food, Tamil food. That was all good. So we learned all this culture, habit, and to get used to it. And incidentally, I attended a Bengali marriage. At that time, I didn't know because I was thinking it was more like South-like and all. And they went on bringing so many dishes and all that. By the time my stomach was nearly full, and I said, I think it should be over. Sir, abhi to chalu hai. Sweets have to come only now. Then comes the course of sweets, 5 to 7 types of sweets. By which time we were not aware we would have already completed the food. And they will have all mostly milk-oriented, the milk sweets, peda, this and all that. That was an experience I had. And in Ordnance Factory, Kanpur, at that time, most of us were bachelors and we didn't know how to do so. We have to get a cook. And you can't get a cook just like from a place to Chennai or Mylapore and all that there. In Kanpur, we had to get a cook. So a rickshawala will come over. He will say, I am a cook. So he will come first day. One man, some Jayanti came. Roti banate ho, bana dega sara bola. सर ओके कितना रोटी चाहिए साहब आप सबको? 2 रोटी बनाओ, जरूरत है तो हम और एक मांग लेंगे. The man made a roti and the roti was so thick. What good, nobody could eat it. Then he said, where have you made the roti? What was your experience? So much so that my colleagues had to teach him how to make a roti. So this was all the experience which he can never forget. And one benefit was among all ordnance factories, they used to have a Kendriya Vidyalaya. So far as education is concerned, which was never a worry for us, because our children could study in Kendriya Vidyalaya, could have an all India pan image, and it was easy for them, even on a transfer, they could get a seat. And we had our own hospital to meet all this one, except for major thing. If you are an office, I mean, if you are the employee yourself, you can get treated at a military hospital. But others, we have to go for military hospital will not do. So that facility was there. And we used to have an army canteen where items were available with some discount. We used to avail of that. That was one advantage. So that is more or less about our life about ordnance factories. Now, if you have got any specific questions, I would like to take or any.
ஓகே, எல்லாரும் ஒரு முதல்ல கைத்தட்டு ஒரு கிளாப் பண்ணுங்க சாருக்கு. எல்லாரும் இதுல வாங்க, வீடியோக்கு வந்தீங்கன்னா நல்லா இருக்கும்.
It's okay. All are okay. Thank you.